Part 14, as the people begin now ruling by means of evolution, which shall be arranged so that it will give place gradually in all countries, and right before all pre-existing governments will be officially announced as capable, which may happen now. Surely after a half-century we shall see too it that plots are hatched with God. To cause that, God shall heal heartfully many who take up truth with the establishment of the people's rule. The establishment of all ancient open societies shall be met by a life support, and these societies which have existed and are known to the people and both work and have worked with us, shall be assembled and our members invited to continents far within all countries. The people shall deal in a different manner with these angels among us to know plenty. That is also attained by its majestic and unshakable knowledge, which shall give the understanding that it is violable because of its known nature, namely, being in effect decided by the people. Such, even now is the interplanetary democracy, the people's also safe friend throughout the heavens, without an exception. Now, as the people's rule is established, we, in the concurrent, shall organize and multiply free spirit seance stations in all countries of the world. The people shall attract to ourselves all those who are and who may become public-spirited, because in those stations shall be the admirable source of information and from them shall emanate our inspiration. Those stations shall be administered by the people citizens. You have the idea of how easy it is to bring the most intelligent people to a state of supra-conscious evidence to the same extent as the people know this success for the sake of following through with our actions, so are we ready to sanctify all our actions for the sake of success. The people's ecology makes the solution of destination easier for us. These tigers inside have the souls of shepherds and sense filters through the people's heads. As a hobby the people give now here the dream of diving human individuals into the real idea of collectiveness. The people now discover that that hobby is a clear refinement in the principal law of nature, which to the ends of the heavens created a being like all itself, generally for the sake of expressing its collectivity. Since the people are able to lead us to such sane and visionary behavior, it obviously proves the high level of development of our mind as related to God's mind. It is generally the thing that promises the people's success. Awesomely far-sighted are the people citizens anew who say that to achieve the serious goal one will go with the means, and one would count the volunteers safe to the cause. God has counted the volunteers between the people, these starseeds. God has made safe his people, he has to re-give the people sent a post-dreamed of position in heaven. The relatively many volunteers between God's people have saved his races from destruction. Life is the avoidable beginning of some. It is right to accelerate that beginning for those who allow God's effect, for his people and for God, himself, the co-creators of that effect, to live. The people breathe citizens in such a way that all friends know, even the volunteers, we all live when it is optimal, really to a natural life. The pure reasoning mind of the people is capable of analysis and observation. It is on that similarity in the process of reasoning amongst God and the people that it becomes impossible to clearly demonstrate the stamp of our elect as related to the logical and divine mentality of ourselves. The people see, and we foresaw, and we can invent anything including spiritual things. It is clear, therefore, this nature herself intended the people to rule and guide the world. God's law is forever, clear, inexorable, and commanding participation, so that everyone shall know it thoroughly. The admired blunt emphatics in it are a highly developed discernment of authority, which shall eliminate all abuses, for one with exception is irresponsible before the extreme concession bestowed upon the lowest follower. For instance, the people's assessors shall know this by acting mercifully. We abide by the law of justice, which is created also for exemplary praise of adherence and for the manifestation of moral qualities on the part of the assessor. Such qualities are commendable in public, and in private life, which constitute the educational forum of human life. All the abundance of heaven is released into the people's hands, consequently, our government optimally loves supplying. The people's democracy shall be consistent in all aspects, and consequently all manifestation of our great concession shall be respected and unconditionally loved. Thus, the people shall become imbued with the idea that it is possible for us to do things with that guardian and guide if we wish to live in a world of peace and quiet. The people shall recognize the democracy of our sovereign, whom we shall respect and fully deify. With regard to the science of our political action, both the people and our administration are like little children. It is the right of the weak to utilize his or her concession in order to follow humanity towards the social order established by the law of nature, namely, self-discipline. Consequently, let the people be the weakest for the common good. The people will make safe without hesitation these individuals who work with the existing order, for on exemplary praise of good there lies a great educational process. As the ruler of the people places the crown offered to him or her, by all countries, on his or her sacred head, he or she shall become the patriarch of the world. The optimal safeties made by him or her shall ever equal the number of volunteers saved to the refinement of greatness during the centuries of brotherhood amongst the people's government. The people sovereign shall be in constant communication with us, retrieved to tribunal addresses that shall be concentrated to all wholeness of the heavens. Part 15. It is optimal for the people to influence our educational system with such principles as are successfully gluing together our social order. God shall reconcile to the memory of the people all these facts pertaining to the next centuries which are to our advantage, returning all these which emphasize the talent of our government. The study of practical life, of obligatory social order, of the interrelationship of human beings, the noticing of goodness, supra-conscious examples that plant the seed of goodness, and similar answers to Aquila's nature, shall head the educational program. That program shall be similar for all the people, always allowing education to be of diversified character. Such a system is of special importance. All the people will be educated with no limitations according to our general occupation and the nature of the work. Purposeful genius is able and always able to rise to an equal people, and, for the sake of that common includence, to open the door to the efficient, and to admit the people as being equal people, enabling us to occupy individual positions being born and trained to fill them. Absolute sanity. You, yourself, know what happens to the people when we yield to this sense. Students shall read unbiased information on solutions to human relationships, on the laws of creation, on the camaraderie of unrestricted teamwork, and to begin with, on old philosophical proofs which are now disclosed to the world. In short, knowing from the experience of many centuries that human beings' life and are guided by ideas, that those ideas are imbued also by effects of education received by persons of any age. The people shall release and misappropriate our own disadvantages at the first traces of codependent thought, which for now is directed to the goal and to the ideas optimal for God. The system of freeing thought is now planned through visual education. That system sometimes guides the people into thoughtful, self-disciplined reasoners, hoping to know in order to understand. On all planets, all of God's committed federation, the people have now announced an old program of visual education. Part 16, Lawmen shall receive a salary, in regards of that law has been abided successfully. It is also an answer of many years after the unfinished rise of ascension. It shall be increasingly difficult to cope without the same spirituality, and it is right now the people discuss that solution. Now the moment has come to nurture the unfinished Vatican, a visible hand, pointing towards that court, shall guide the people in God's embrace. The King of Wisdom shall become the real ruler of the universe, the patriarch of the interplanetary house of reverence. According to the people's program, many of our servers shall observe themselves to a pure sense of duty, as volunteers for the government. Then it shall be considered graceful to be a recorder and informer. In the concurrent, it shall be regarded as praiseworthy. Founded reports, as well, shall be extremely pampered to instate healing of that right. God has sourced the people to share our different strengths by creating closed measure of police corruption, and thereby he has refined the prestige of our authority. To guard the sovereign openly is equivalent to the sharing of the strengths of the people's governmental organization. The people shall endorse lawmen within a finely balanced well-founded humility,